Welcome to Disruptive Successor, a show for next generation leaders in family businesses and entrepreneurs who want to disrupt the status quo and take their existing business to a whole new level. We all know that what got us here isn't going to get us there. This show will provide inspiration, advice, and resources to help you create massive impact. This podcast is sponsored by myself, Jonathan Goldhill, and my company, the Goldhill Group, where we provide coaching for growing companies. I'm Jonathan Goldhill, and my purpose is simple: to guide entrepreneurial leaders in family businesses towards more freedom and fulfillment. I want entrepreneurs to get clarity around the changes that will make them and their businesses more successful so they can experience the same freedom I've enjoyed in my life. Our proven practices challenge business owners to think differently about their business and how they're running it, and quite literally become game changers in our clients' companies. Learn more at the goldhillgroup.com website, where you can schedule your free strategy session.
I can't tell you how many people, we have membership meetings around the state, and a whole bunch of people come up to me and said, I keep my company at 49 employees because when I hit that 50 mark, everything goes. I'm going to have to add HR people. I'm going to have to add marketing people. And
so your approach is much more consultative than some others. Many coaches in the International Coaching Federation would say what you're doing is not coaching at all. It's consulting, and it's teaching a person who has a divergent thinking pattern, like an ADD person, to adopt your script. And they'll say, it's a square hole in a round box, and it's just not, it's the challenge. It's going to be very hard.
You know, mom and dad may have their hand on the baton, but we've got to get your hand on it. And for a while, you're going to run with it together. But then your job is to pull the baton out of dad's hand or mom's hand. And if we can't do it, and if they don't have the confidence that you can run the business, they're never going to let go.
The number one reason that entrepreneurs don't delegate is that they don't know where to start, and they're scared, which is interesting because entrepreneurs are pretty fearless, but they're scared that letting something go is going to create even more problems for them.
Because I've worked for a handful of family businesses over my career, I'm 56, so I've been working basically 35 years since college. And I've worked for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And each of those families knows which one they are.
Become a priest. You should become a priest. And I would laugh at her. But now, like, I go to these conferences where I talk, I meet with people about family systems theory and stuff like that.
Right.
And there's all these clergy people there. And I realized that my grandmother had me better pegged for what I'm naturally good at.
There you go.
My dad did.
And understand those three circles. When you're making a decision about equity, as you've just referenced, that's an ownership decision. When you're making a decision about the product or how you sell it or how you go to market, that's a business decision. And then when you make a decision around, how are we going to interact as partners, that's kind of more the family decision.
Real problems, and I think the bigger one, particularly for entrepreneurs, is what I call the accounting stack problem. And if you think about building a house, you're going to build a dream home, right? Who do you have there? Your main contact. That's going to be the general contractor.
I would have a family business counselor even in advance of need, just so that you have somebody to fall back on. Because, I mean, again, since 70% of family businesses don't make it, and the biggest reason for that is family quarrels, this is something to pay attention to fast.
As I got on with my professional career, I started to see the implications of and the opportunity of being in a family-owned business, family-run business.
The reality is you may need 3 good business ideas to make it through 1 generation in a family business today. So the key for any family business to deal with this change is to develop a sense of unity of purpose, a sense of unity in values, and a sense of unity in vision for the future for their family and their enterprise.
A lot of our work is actually trying to help families to make decisions and get things done together. And one of the things that we found a really helpful way of understanding the world of a family business is what we call the 4 room.
Right. The second thing that intrigued me
is that this most people don't know is that, as you know, Peter Drucker was rarely wrong. He was really on target, usually. Mm-hmm. He was not wrong about family business, but you will see very little that he has written about family business.
Right.
However, the irony is, and I'm writing about this, the irony is that his philosophy, his way of thinking applies completely well to family businesses, and we can get into that.
That we have to be mindful of things like underwriting, of things like what our needs are. What are we actually acquiring real estate for? Are we acquiring it for cash flow? Are we acquiring it for appreciation? Are we acquiring it for, value and wealth creation? So there's a lot of different reasons why we acquire real estate.
Friends of his worked in the business, but no one was positioned to run the business. And so it was a nice asset, and I didn't want it just to disappear. And so I really had to have a serious conversation with myself as to, what, if any, role is there for me in this business that I wasn't drawn to. If I'm being candid with you, I kind of felt a little bit, above it, a little too good for it.
Yeah, of course.
And my dad had told me, like, don't do this, don't do this for a living. And so I had a lot of head trash to get through to make a decision on that.
From a financial perspective, because when you sell your business, as you know, you're going to pay taxes to Uncle Sam, and that could be a third, depending upon the situation.
Yep.
You have 2/3 the capital now after you sell the business to get to work for you. And if you're selling it at 5 times EBITDA, 5 times cash flow, that is like a 20% return and it's tough to get a 20% return in the market. If you're selling at 10 or 12 times EBITDA, then that's, it's a 10 or 9% return, that might be comparable.
It's that family dynamic. It's, my dad had this business. He started the business. He was successful and did what he wanted to do.
Right.
I'm involved in the business. It doesn't belong to me, but I need him to let me do some things to show him my worth. I need to prove to my dad, this isn't just business. This is proving to my dad that I'm worthy. This is beyond just the accolades for business. This is as a son trying to get my dad to understand that there's a worth, and I need him to be proud of me.
Okay, now an operating agreement will address things like, well, if someone dies, we deal with your estate and so forth, and it may even say who takes over. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't deal with how do you deal with the family of the partner that wanted to leave the business. So a buy-sell agreement is going to generally address 4 major topics, right? It's going to address if you voluntarily want to leave the business. You come in one day and you tell your brother, listen, this pandemic thing's too much for me. I'm moving to Key West. I'm going to live in an RV. I'm not dealing with this anymore.
And I think that's key, is that I've taken this really great foundation that my father gave my sister and I throughout our upbringing, mm-hmm. and I've really created something, and now I'm trying to take it to that next level, much like you talk about in your book.
So our role in that innovation is, okay, how do we make sure the customer feels good about the value they're getting out of this? Are they getting value out of it? And if they're not, we do have a pretty good roll back to our manufacturers to really push back and say, it's not working the way you thought it was.
Our vision is really to be pioneer affordable credit to underbanked small businesses, and we're going to focus on the Latinx market. Mm-hmm. That's part number 1. But if I had to label that in one line, or just label that and just to give it a good label, I'd call it a neo-CDFI.
Why would you ever sell that business? Mm-hmm. At some point you may. But why would you sell a business like that and forget the fact that you could sell it for more? But that's what we're shooting for, is getting you to work as much as you want, doing the work that you enjoy, not the work you have to do, the work you want to do. We call it your Picasso work, and you're usually very good at it. It's usually very valuable. Mm-hmm. And that's how we can cut the work down, is that we trim the garbage, or what we call this hairball of work that we all get, right? All this crap comes in and you're just the catch-all.
Yeah.
But inside that hairball is this genius work, your Picasso work, that mm-hmm. only you can do.
I'm taking a departure from my normal interview with a guest to introduce to you my book and my 7 P's playbook. And the 7 P's are purpose, plan, products, people, priorities, processes, and performance. This podcast is sponsored by myself, Jonathan Goldhill, and my company, the Goldhill Group, where we provide coaching for growing companies. I'm Jonathan Goldhill, and my purpose is simple: to guide entrepreneurial leaders in family businesses towards more freedom and fulfillment. I want entrepreneurs to get clarity around the changes that will make them and their businesses more successful so they can experience the same freedom I've enjoyed in my life. Our proven practices challenge business owners to think differently about their business and how they're running it, and quite literally become game changers in our clients' companies. Learn more at thegoldhillgroup.com website, where you can schedule your free strategy session.
Thank you for joining us on the Disruptive Successor podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, review, and share with a friend who would benefit from the message. If you're interested in picking up a copy of my book, Disruptive Successor, go to disruptivesuccessor.com.